Welcome. In this tutorial, you are going to be learning how to create invoice using Vlookup and data validation. I've already prepared an invoice template here. Now we want to use Vlookup to know what the due date would be, the raise by, address to, amount, the description note, paid, paid on, based on the data. So this is a transaction data. So this invoice number, we want to know the detail. When was this invoice number raised? The due date of this invoice number, the amount on this invoice number, the address, description, the note, the paid and the paid on, when it was paid and all. We want to know all that. So we are going to use VLOOKUP. You know, VLOOKUP means vertical lookup, and what VLOOKUP would do is to look up data from the left to the right, from left to right, from left to right. That is what VLOOKUP will do. So we are not going to use VLOOKUP to know what the due date would be. Now I'll go to my formula. Okay, under the lookup and reference, you are going to see VLOOKUP. Under the V, you know, it is arranged alphabetically. So go to Student, you see VLOOKUP. Just click on it. Now, what will be my lookup value? Now, my lookup value will be this invoice number. My table arrow is the table that contains the information I'm looking for. So this is the table. It's also the lookup table. Fine. So I'll come here. I can select everything so that it will take care of the future. It will capture the data, transactions of the future. Then the column index number is related to this data. This due date is in what column from the selection? The due date, we're going to start counting. Column 1, column 2 is on column 2. So I'm going to put column 2. Now, we are looking for exact match. So it's going to be either 0 or false. So if I type 0 here, it will still show false. So then click on OK. So we have seen the due date. Now that we know the due date, we can do a smart work. Now, the difference between the due date, the amount, the raise by and other formula is just the column index number, because the amount is column 3, the raise by is column 4, address to is column 5, just like that. So if I just come here and I copy this formula, Ctrl C, escape, and I paste it here, right? I paste here. Let me paste around. I paste here. I paste it here also. Okay, so I'm going to, this has been merged, so I'm going to unmesh this. That's why the formula is not going. So I'll come back and unmesh this cell because it was merged earlier. So just come and unmesh this cell. So if I paste it now, it's going to stay. Then paste and paste and paste. Fine. Now it's giving us the same thing, but now the amount is on column 3. So I'll come here and change this to 3. Enter. Can you see? So the date is 9th October 2013 and the amount is 123,000 naira. So that is what we have there, 123. Can you see? So the raise by is 4. The address to is 5. The description is 6. The note is 7. The paid is 8, column 8. While the paid on is 9. But you will notice that, discover that on, there is nothing coming forth because the paid on here, they are not, the paid is no. So when the paid is no, then the paid on will be empty. They've not paid. But it is for only transactions where we have years that it will reflect. So I'm going to change the invoice number to 38, right? 38 and see what happens. So I'm going to change it to 38 here. So 38, right? Then can you see that? Now invoice number 38, right, is because I did not remove 10 before adding 38. That is why it was showing not available. But when I corrected it, then it failed. Can you see 28 September 2013? So look at it. 28 September 2013. And every other information also has been updated. These are the details of the invoice number for invoice number 38. Now, we are going to do something. We are going to create a validation that will list all the invoice numbers, both the one we have now and the one to come, so that by the we just create select any of the invoice number and it will give us details of that invoice. Okay, let's do that now. That is when we need the data validation. So to do the data validation, just come to data, okay, and you will see data validation. Under the data you see data validation. Just click on it and click on data validation. Fine. Now, by default, it is any value. So we'll change it from any value to list. Right? So what is the source? What do we want to list? We want to list the invoice number. And that is all. Just click on OK. So now we have all the invoice number listed here. If you add more transaction, it will be updated because we selected the O column. So if I change it to invoice number 93, can you see everything? It will give us details of invoice number 93. Now, if I change it to invoice number 2, it will give us details of invoice number 2. So can use it to populate. Small businesses can use it to populate their create an invoice, you know, startups and all. Just ensure you enter the right data here. Now, we are going to do something again. We want the system to display the detail of the invoice. So let's say equal to, right, equal to invoice. So I'm going to quote this. I'm going to double quote this. Invoice, right, invoice detail. Then I'll use my column. And I can decide to leave a space so that the space between invoice detail and invoice number will be there. Then close it. And use my and, the upper sign, right? Which is on the keyboard is on 7, Shift 7. Then I will reference this invoice number, okay, and hit enter. Can you see? So invoice detail 0002. So if I change it now to invoice 8, it will change to invoice details 00008 and it will give us the detail. Right? So you have been able to create an invoice. So as more data comes in, more transaction comes in, all you just need to do is to impute your transaction and come here and create your invoice, generate an invoice for it, and you can convert it to PDF and either convert to PDF and send, or you can print and give it to your customer. I hope you've been able to learn something or gain something in this tutorial. Thank you.